Well, I'm back working on Patti again. Let's finalize a couple things and get her out for a ride. So you know Patti runs. You've seen that video. So we're getting down there. So I've got the list. So let's start at the top. Motor belt alignment. That's a biggie. I don't know how much of a pain in the butt that'll be, but I'm getting that done before anything else. Move exhaust hole, verify routings, seat cover, fuel tank, test ride. Oh crap, I forgot. Fill with coolant. I better add that in there. But we're getting down there. This is near the end of Patti. We're almost ready to take her out for a rip. This video is basically going to be the payoff for the Patti series. I struggled through the last 10 hours probably of working on Patti. I get her running and driving. I take her out. I rip her around the yard. And so you're going to want to stick around to the end for that. But I also am going to read Kevin Andre's story about Patti. And at the very end, I'm going to total up what the dollars and cents were of getting this thing going. So if you want to know what it took to resurrect this thoroughly beaten down sled, well, please stick around to the end and I'll show you. Well, the clutch alignment's really far off. I don't know if I can let it go this way. So you could see in here the gap. We showed this on the last part. It's pretty big. So the motor's got to swing back, the clutch side of the motor. There's no two ways about that. The only thing I got going in my favor is that we haven't put coolant in it yet. So if I actually have to pull the motor out and take the straps off, it won't be such a mess. Let's check it for level too. Everybody that's looked at it thought the motor wasn't level. So let's throw a level on it. All right, I got the old bubble level down here. It's fairly close to level. You know, when I get to the final, I can jack around with it and get it perfect. But now let's look on the engine. So we're going to go on these machined surfaces up here on the front of the engine. And yeah, the motor is pretty far off. It's got to go up. Holy cow. It's got to go up like a half an inch. So that's a lot. What that's telling me is that this mount here needs a pile of shims on it. So I'm not sure what else to do, but I guess I will shim that up. Hopefully it'll help. So I'm playing with this alignment and things are looking a lot better. So I have like 300 thousandths worth of washers under there. You can see I put some blue tape to match them up. I put the screwdriver through the hole so it would, you know, fall through once I got the washers lined up. Just a lot of prying up on it with the pry bar to get them in there. I had to loosen the other mounts, but let's take a look. Hey, that is significantly better now. Wow, is that ever better? Looks like maybe I need one more washer, so I might try to dig those out and do that. Back here, similar results. Not quite perfect yet, but I'd say 3/4 of that is taken out. So yeah, I think I'll see if I can squeeze one more washer in there, and we'll probably just stop there. It can only make the stack so big. All right, here's my final stack of the washers. This measured 371, so basically 3/8 of an inch. That's a whole lot. I mean, holy cow. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody mentioned getting different mounts. It's not going to fix this sled. This sled hit a tree really, really hard. I appreciate that you're one of the few people that knows how to look up parts in the Polaris parts catalog and that you gave me the numbers. Yeah, I know how to do that too. But that's not the solution here. This thing hit a tree, so it needs some drastic changes. All right, I got it, and it actually wasn't that much work. So let me show you how it came out. So first off, yeah, absolutely perfect right there. And I had to take a pile of shims out. Over here, well, you can see the washer stack. That's with 4 washers right there, pointing at it. what else can I point at it with? Screwdriver. There's your 4 washers. I had to get a longer bolt, but you can see I got the bolt going through just fine. So I had to do a little metal work. I had to elongate the hole. So what I did was I put a 1/4-inch end mill in my die grinder and just had at it. And it worked like a champ. Boy, I bet I didn't run this die grinder for a total of maybe 45 seconds. I mean, it just chewed it away. Yeah, the end mill's a little worse for the wear, but the job's done. So everything lines up now. Oh yeah, in the side-to-side tilt, certainly a lot better than it ever was before. I'm going to say that pretty much matches where it was on the tunnel. Close enough anyways. So there we go. Hopefully Patti won't be a belt eater. Just wanted to come back and show you after I torqued the bolts down. So everything's tightened up here now. And you can see the washers are squished out. And the level got even better. I'm going to say that's dead on to the level of the tunnel now. And back here, nothing changed. Still perfect. All right, I'm happy with that. So I showed earlier in an earlier video that this belly pan's not perfect, that it was a little bit melted in the exhaust hole area. Well, here's why I don't care. I already knew the RX hole exited in a different spot. So I got to close up and patch that hole off anyways. You can see down there, I got to move it several inches. So my plan right now is to get Patti's original belly pan and cut a section out of it, cut a section out of this, splice, 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 good to go. Will it be pretty? I'm not building a show sled here. It's only got to be functional. Really glad I haven't added any fluids or put the seat on or anything like that yet, because I'll be flipping this thing onto its side a bunch of times. So here's the piece I brutally cut out of Patti's original skid. And no, I'm not even going to make an attempt to like butt it up, splice it in, or hide it. I've got it hooked up to the exhaust right now, and the exhaust is in that piece of tubing right now, although it's definitely not sitting where it goes. Let's see. Oh boy, get that where it goes. All right, so Tommy is right. We are going to need a bracket back here to hold this up, but this will help hold it up too. And well, to be honest with you, I'm just going to pop rivet it right there, and we're going to call that good. I mean, that doesn't mean that at some point in the future we won't find a mint condition RXL extra 12 belly pan and put it on there. It's always a possibility. I mean, it's actually not even that much work. You don't even have to pull the motor out, really. Really, you just got to take off the back of the trailing arms, and you can kind of slip it on and slip it off. So we're going to leave it open to that. But in the interest of getting this thing out of my shop and onto the snow, we're going to do this butcher hack of a fix. So there you go, folks. Love it or hate it, this is what's happening today. I took 2 ruined belly pans and spliced them together to make what I needed. So here's how the process is working. So I got the pipe sticking through there. You can see that. And these 2 rivets I consider permanent. They're going into the bulkhead itself. These 2 are temporary, just to hold position. What I'm going to do for the rivets up here in the plastic is make some backer pieces of just probably little steel squares that go behind this. But now I've got it positioned where I want it. And I don't know, I'm just going to keep going. I'll make up some backer pieces and add some more rivets up here. And before you know it, this will be patched up and it'll work. All right, just showing you what I did. So we got rivets along here. We got rivets down there. We got rivets along the bottom. The bottom rivets, as you can see, they caught the bulkhead pretty well. The rest of them that are just into plastic, you can see the metal backers I made. And just thought I'd show you that real quick. But that's it. That's a pretty sturdy patch. Not pretty. I didn't say it's pretty. I said it's pretty sturdy. So there you go. I'm going to finish it off right now. All right, that belly pan mod is all done. I'll give you one last look. So shoe goo. Yep, literally black shoe goo to seal it. I love shoe goo. I think it's the best stuff you could use for that. and a little black spray paint on the rivet heads to make them a little less obvious. I mean, I'm not really trying to hide it, but you know, it is kind of hidden underneath the lift here, and it's not a super obvious repair unless you're walking up to this thing when it's parked on top of a big mound of snow or something. Most of the time, it'll be down well below eye level on the ground. So as far as Patti goes, I can live with that. Once again, Patti's not a restoration. Patti's just a rescue. All right, we're doing a little documentation here. So I just wanted to show how this cable goes. So we got a nut over here, and the cable goes over the top and loops into there. I believe this to be a factory seat. So that's probably right and correct for the factory. Here you can see why we're reusing Patti's original foam and tank. That's a sending unit. Patti's got a gas gauge. That's pretty cool. The foam, you know, it's fine. Back here, these catches, we're just going to drill the rivets out and get rid of those. And then we get the really fun stuff. The staples. Probably a couple hundred staples I got to dig out of there before I put the new cover on. We're at a little stopping point on the seat. There's two straps that go through the foam back here, and they go all the way through the plastic into the trunk area. It's probably pretty dark. Oh, I got a light in there, so you can see the ends of the straps. So that was step one. Step two, actually much more difficult, was this wire up here at the front and feeding it through. It was really tight on this eBay seat cover, really tight. I don't know. Other than that, not bad. Step three, obviously, is going to be to cut out the gas cap. And I'm going to make sure I got it centered. It doesn't look like it's centered yet, but we'll do that. And thank goodness there's a lot of leeway around that gas cap hole. Yeah, I'm going to do that next. I don't think I can start stapling the sides until that's done. Gas cap hole is done. I think this picture is pretty self-explanatory, but I started in the middle with the razor blade, went around it, and yeah, it's pretty well centered. It's not overstretched. I don't think it's going to tear out or anything. So we'll go with that. Next step, staple, 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 staple. All right, quick check-in midway through the seat stapling process. At least I hope it's midway. So I've been pulling down pretty hard on both sides through the middle. You can only pull so hard. And I'm only stapled to about here. I got the hump left to do. So this is an aftermarket. This is an eBay seat cover. Look at the crap. Not even close to fitting back here. So I'm going to have to round up some more foam for this area. Luckily, I mean, I can, you know, I started at the front, so I can just peel it back and add foam right here until, well, until it fits right. So that's what's going to happen. A little bit of work out there, but it's shaped up much better. Just thought I'd give you an idea what I did. So I added in about one piece like that crosswise, and then the same width. This one's really narrow, but the same width as the bottom one. I added in a taller one that wrapped around the top like that. So it actually would have, you know, been the full width. And this thing's actually looking pretty livable. And I had to stretch the bejesus out of it. Pretty much had to grab it by this seam, stretch the heck out of it, and then pull down all the corners and everything. But I don't know. For a cheap seat cover, it is what it is. I think I'm going to live with just that. Good thing I did this cord up here first. It's already kind of pulling out, so we'll have to torque that up a little bit too once I get done with the stapling. But yeah, this will be fine. It'll work. It's done. I got to say, this took me an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. We're coming up on 3 o'clock. I was hoping to ride Patti today because there's still a little bit of snow. It's not happening, but maybe I'll get it wrapped up tonight and be able to ride Patti in the morning. Anyways, you probably want to see the seat. So there it is. I mean, it is what it is. It came out pretty good for a cheap eBay seat cover, do it yourself. I'm sure all these wrinkles will go out of it eventually as it sits. You know, I got the trunk hole to line up, about even overlap. I'll probably cut that out a little bigger. Still got to cut the hole out for the brake light down here, which I'll probably just do that on the sled. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. You can see the cable's doing its job. It's tucked down in its channel like it should be. And these limps here, that's that fuel sender I showed you. Not much we're going to do about that. They're just going to be there. They'll show a little. There's the plug for that. That should be just a joy to get that plugged in. But there you go. I mean, we're doing pretty good here. I'm happy with this. I'm going to put it on Patti and bolt it down. Well, I've given up on riding Patti today. I got more work to do than there is time between now and dark. So, cheers. Clean the injectors, boys. All right. So, where are we at on the list? The exhaust hole moved. Sounds like plastic surgery to me. Verify routings. I still got a concern on that. I'll show you in a second. But the seat cover and fuel tank, I do have to add 2 bolts, but I'm going to cross it off. Got to fix the brakes. I added that since the last time. I still got to figure that out. And I still got to fill the coolant. Something tells me all that's going to take more time than I got today before dark. But thought I'd give you a quick look at the seat. I'm not going to claim it's great. I'm going to claim it's functional. Wouldn't dare say respectable. Not about Patti. Nothing about Patti is respectable. But there it is. So, yeah, still got to do that other stuff. But I got it jammed in place. Got the snaps in. I got to put 2 bolts in. And then we'll call that done. So, I don't know. I guess I'm pretty happy with that part anyways. At least I'm happy to have it done. All right, when I say routings, I'm talking about hoses, wires, things like that. And here's a classic concern. I need to get this moved further away from the exhaust. That's too close for my comfort. I'm going to just kind of pick my way through and make sure nothing's going to get rubbed through or anything. We do have the wires tied up nice and high up to the brake line here, so I know they won't get rubbed on the jack shaft. But what's going on there? I got to figure that out. I still got to do some kind of a mount back here for the exhaust. It's literally just kind of hanging on the belly pan back there. I'm not a big fan of that. Tommy says there's supposed to be a bracket here. I have never seen that bracket with Patti. At least I don't remember seeing it. So I think that's just missing. This is like literally sitting on the belly pan because somebody cut and welded this bracket. So I'll probably cut and weld that bracket again to get it, get it up at least a little ways. Needs some room. That kind of thing. So I just got a bunch of picking over the sled, trying to take care of all these little things to make sure it's going to live and it's not going to die of something stupid like a wire rubbed through when we're out trail riding it. Sometimes it feels like the problems with Patti are never going to end. So I was bolting down the seat and one of these guys was broke off. So I'm making a new one out of some 1/4-inch thick bar stock. And the main thing I wanted to show you guys is get your holes drilled and tapped before you cut it off all the way. It's a lot easier to hold this big foot-long piece than it is this little sliver here. And if you're wondering where that goes, well, I had to pop the taillight lens out, or the taillight housing out, and it goes in a little channel right down in here and gets riveted to it. So, yeah, luckily the other one's not broke off. And yeah, good thing I wasn't planning on riding Patti today. All right, fuel tank pickup line. Here's all my tips and tricks in one. So, first off, let's start right here. This thing is called a compression ring, and Polaris sells them, and it was in your tank when it came from the factory. Let me get out a bag that one came in so that you can see what the part number is. 708-0402. You need 2 of them. You need 1 at each end. All right, Teflon tape, obviously, don't go nuts. This is maybe a little bit on the heavy side. And then the last thing, I marked this fitting so I'll know when the hose is pointed down so it isn't just like pointed up in the air at the opposite end of the tank. And I know it'd settle eventually, but I'm planning on driving it in the next couple days, not waiting months for that to dangle down. So there you go. all my tips on the fuel tank pickup line. Oh, one more tip I almost forgot. Don't go nuts tightening this down and split your tank. It happens a lot. That's right on the weld line of the tank where that fitting screws in, and it's a weak point. A lot of guys will put a hose clamp there, especially in older TX, TXL tanks. I've had pretty good luck with the indies, so I generally don't do it on those. Well, I got the brakes working again. This one was weird. The hose was plugged up. Very, very strange. Master cylinder's fine. It's working real good. I had to pull the whole system off, take off the hose, and I just ran an air hose through it backwards, and a chunk of something came out of it and some fluid and stuff. So I just got done bleeding. I got it back together. We've covered that in so many other videos. We've covered rebuilding master cylinders, and just in the prior video, we covered rebuilding a caliper. So if you're curious about Polaris brakes, please go back and watch some of my old projects, and you'll find plenty of info there. But for now, let me show you this. So this is how the brakes should work. See, when I squeeze it, they pull up tight. When I let go, they retract. Perfect. So if they stay up tight, that's no good. That's what we had with Dennis's when his caliper stuck. We just showed you how to fix it. So there you go. I'm getting really close to being able to ride this thing tomorrow. All right, I'm not calling it complete. I'm calling it good enough to test. So I crossed off verify routings. I crossed off brakes. All I got left is fill coolant and test ride. So I'm feeling like it's pretty good. I'm going to fill the coolant in the morning and the fuel in the morning because, well, if I'm going to come back and have a great big puddle, well, I'd rather at least be there for it rather than have it happen all night when I'm asleep. So there it is. We got the hood on Patti. We got the seat on. What we are missing is the taillight housing and taillight. I did not do that. I'm going to test ride it without it. I'm done for the night. I would have to put the coolant in the morning. I think I said that. I've got some more work to do on the exhaust eventually and basically get it supported better and get it off the belly pan. But it's not going to melt through in, a couple little rips around the yard. So that'll be fine. So basically, I'm ready to test it tomorrow. It's the next morning. Well, let's show you what progress I made. I woke up with all sorts of ambition, which is surprising considering it was a 10-hour day yesterday. But, yeah, I found a taillight housing. Remember that seat I got for free from Todd at the Princeton swap out of his free pile? Well, I nabbed the housing out of that, and I have a brand new lens. Now, I got to total up what everything on Patti here costs, but boy, I'll bet you that lens is what finally pushed us over the $400 mark. All right, so anyways, I've been bleeding the coolant system, and I got a couple things to show you here on the coolant system. Not much. These are bleeder screws. So let me tell you about them. So first thing I did was I filled up the bottle, and then I used the dolly here to rock it. Nose high, tail high, nose high, tail high, until it burped out. Filled the bottle. Repeated until I wasn't getting any more major burping action out of the coolers. Once I had that done, I topped up the bottle again. Then I cracked this bleeder until I got coolant out. And then I cracked this bleeder until I got coolant out. All right, feeling pretty good then. I needed to top the bottle again. Then I picked up the track. I just ran it on the stand here, picked up the track, and ran it at about 4,500 RPMs for a minute or so. And it didn't need any more coolant. It didn't need to burp. So I'm pretty close. I'm somewhere between 1.5 gallons and 2 gallons of coolant. So I feel like that ought to be enough. So I think it's about time to drive this thing now. Let's see how it works. All right, that was a good test ride. I'm happy with Patti. What did I learn? Well, she's got a little bog off the line. I find the bog to be acceptable because, you know, the real purpose of this sled is like a loaner sled. We don't want some relatively new rider getting on something that's super snappy. The bog's probably beneficial. What else? She's got a minor drip under the belly pan. Very minor, but we're going to have to address that. I don't think that's still coolant coming out from spillage during the fill process, although I wouldn't rule it out. I can only see a few drops, so maybe it is. Maybe it's fine. What else? Let's start at the front. So we got the kid sled belly pan nose cone on there. That thing, the kid sled, well, I'm glad I donated some parts. You can see there's the patched in part on the belly pan. Oh, you don't like it? Well, too bad. Patti's just an old beater. The front suspension, well, the trailing arms, radius rods, tie rods are all original, but with all new ends on them. Rebuilt Fox shocks up there. The rear suspension is, as you saw, fully rebuilt Extra 12 with rebuilt Fox shocks, and I've got it set for extra cushy. Let me show you how much ride-in this thing has. See if I can do this one-handed. Yeah, she's got a lot of ride-in, but we wanted to keep the center of gravity low so that it wouldn't be too tippy. What else? I mean, the motor is real good. The motor is the thing that gave us the least trouble. Surprisingly, the motor, the wiring, and the electronics are all just fine. All we did on the motor was crank seals and verify a pressure check on it. Speaking of pressure checks, yeah, I wish I could have pressure checked the cooling system, but just don't have anything to fit that style cap. I might have to make one up in the future. Let's see, what else? I don't know, there's not a lot else to talk about. I guess when we get back to the shop, I will total up the cost of everything I got into Patti, and I'm going to put that at the end. So you guys should stick around for that. So with all that said, I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this whole series, and if you liked it, please go back and watch all our other series. If you got technical questions, we're pushing 270 videos on this channel. We probably answered them already, and I'd really appreciate it if you go back and watch those videos before asking questions. That's what we're here for, is video watches, not question answering. So please take me up on that. Go watch our videos. With that said, please hit subscribe. We hope you like these videos, and hope you enjoy what we're doing. And let's talk about the patrons for a second. So the Patreon is an app or a place or a website where the superfans go and help us keep the channel going. They give us a little donation each month, $5 or $10, and in return, they get their names up on the screen, as you can see, and they get to see all the videos early and ad-free on Patreon, and they get patron-only pictures, videos, stuff like that, especially during the season right now. So it's a great way to help out the channel. Another great way to help out the channel is with the super thanks. Boy, those super thanks really wake up the algorithm and really make it promote the videos. And wow, I just saw that yesterday with the video we had out yesterday. So, and by the way, the videos only come out on Sundays and Wednesdays. So when I say yesterday, it's a Monday, and it's quite a ways after Patti got done. So anyways, really appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Pray for snow, and we'll see you on the trails. All right, here we are at the end of the Patti series. Well, I may come back and do some maintenance, or who knows, but for the most part, Patti's done. I'm calling it the end of the series. It'll just be a comeback video if we do it later. So, everybody wants to know the story of Patti. So Kevin Andre sent me an email. He lives 2 hours away, and he doesn't really want to be interviewed anyways, even if he lived close. So he just sent an email with the story, and I'm going to read it to you, and you'll see it up here on the screen. So Kevin says, there's not much to tell you about Patti. I found her on Marketplace, bought her cheap, and she was my donation to your YouTube videos because I like your content. She comes from the Denmark, Wisconsin area, and the owner was around a 20-year-old kid. Kind of reminds me of the sled you refer to as the kid sled. I knew Patti was in rough shape, but man, she's worse than I thought. She did have one positive thing going, though. The motor ran. Keep up the great content that you and the crew put out, and who's the lucky one that gets to ride Patti? Well, We're hoping that the lucky one that gets to ride Patti is Matt from Alabama, but honestly, we're not sure right now. We got to line up one of his trips up here from work with snow for that to happen. It's not looking great, but maybe it'll happen yet this winter. So the other big question I think people want to know is, how much money did I really throw at Patti? Well, I'm putting it up here on the screen right now. And the answer was roughly 400 bucks plus tax and shipping, which probably brings it closer to 500 bucks. Here you can kind of see the itemized cost. We kept it to a minimum. We only did what we absolutely had to. So if you buy a shitty sled at a swap meet and you're going to refurb it, this is sort of my ballpark on the cost. Now, that doesn't include any motor work or clutch work or anything like that, because we got lucky and that was all okay on Patti. You know, this is just kind of a ballpark. If you find one and you think the motor's going to be okay and doesn't need anything reasonable, or unreasonable, I should say, well, there you go. Probably $400 to $500 just to put it on the trail and make it reliable. So with that said, huge thanks for watching these, and we'll see you on the trails.